I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Aloha, welcome to Unity Church of Maui's Sunday service. A young monk traveled to a temple up the mountain to speak to a Zen master. The Zen master said, "What do you seek?" "Enlightenment," replied the young monk. "You have your own temple. Why do you visit mine?" said the master. The young monk was confused. "Where is my temple, master?" "Wherever you are is your temple," said the master. After a moment, the young monk smiled. He returned home and told all of his friends, "From that day forward, visit your own temple." So often we seek the truth outside of ourselves. We look for other people, for other things, for the answers that can simply be found within ourselves by pausing, resting, asking, and looking deep within for the truth that lies within us. If we can just be present to each moment, to take that journey into, I like to think of it as the space around my heart, and move from here to here, and just be present right here. You know, that which we are looking for is right here. Jesus said it so well. He said the kingdom of heaven is at hand. At hand where? Right here. It's right so close to us that we often don't see it and don't recognize it. This talk today is inspired by the Persian Sufi Hafiz and his poem titled, "And Acting So Cool." Hafiz wrote, "The world just got thick again with God. And everywhere I look makes me feel so proud that all the objects and creatures can remain looking so poised and acting so cool while keeping the great secret so well, and not blissfully shout all day long the reality, I am divine." The whole universe just got enthralled out of its mind on the beauty of God. You know, our brain has evolved and keeps evolving, and it's evolved from a reptilian mind through a primate to a human mind. And it has evolved to meet three basic needs: to avoid harm, to gain rewards, and to connect with others. When you think about it, isn't that really the desires that we have? To meet these needs, we can become nervous, we can become driven, and we can become clingy. And it's like these characteristics are woven into our DNA. And if you doubt this, try not to feel uneasy. Try not to feel disconnected. Try not to feel disoriented for more than a few seconds, let alone a few minutes. You know, we are bombarded by thousands of thoughts and thousands of negative messages each day that tell us that we're unsafe, that we're not good enough, that we're unvalued, that we're unloved, that we're not attractive enough, or that we don't have enough stuff. Boy, I can relate to that one, yeah? So as a result, we believe that we must keep improving, and in trying to do so, we can often become stressed and anxious. The truth is that we can become stress-free and relax. If we do what the monk suggested in the first story, by going to our temple within, by going to that sacred ground that lives within each one of us, and then following the advice of Hafiz, who said, open yourselves to the thickness of God and remember that you are divine, that I am divine. You know, the presence and the power of God is always with us. It's always available to us in every situation. How empowering is it to know that the same creative force responsible for the extensive galaxies and the brilliant sunrises is a part of who we are, a part of who you are. The more we cooperate consciously and we acknowledge Spirit moving in and through and as us, the better things work in our lives and the better things work in our world. We know that God is the good, the one presence and the one power in the universe. And if ever we feel opposed, if we feel separate, if we feel influenced negatively, it's because we have distanced ourselves or blocked ourselves from this always present goodness. If we feel separation, it's up to us to open our minds, to open our hearts, and be present to the flow of love that's right here at every moment. A few summers ago, Emily and I went to Lake Tahoe for a 2-week vacation, and we did a lot of hiking in and around the lake. And I'm going to show you some pictures of that hike and some of the things that we saw. We took this Rubicon Trail, and we started on the west side of the lake, and took the trail to Emerald Bay and Viking's Home, where we began the hike. It was about 4 miles each way, and here we passed these amazing canoes. I took this picture because of the way it made me feel. You know, the beautiful colors of these canoes against the water and the green of the mountains and the blue of the sky. It just had such a great feeling for me. And then this picture is of the Lake Tahoe itself and the trees. And for me, this exemplifies sacred ground, right? Because it's so beautiful, and I get this amazing feeling when I'm there. And here's a picture of the paddle boat that goes around the lake with tourists and shows them so many of the hidden treasures around the lake. And this is Viking's Home. It was built in 1929 by 200 craftsmen. And the inside and the outside of Viking's Home has a Scandinavian motif. It's really quite excellent. But the prize and what was really the momentous thing of the day was Lower Eagle Falls. And we sat here at Lower Eagle Falls for quite a while. Emily went on further up the trail, and I just decided to sit here and to look at this amazingly beautiful waterfall. And what I noticed was the beauty of the way that the water cascaded down this waterfall. And there's this amazing log in the middle of the picture that you can see. And then there was just such incredible, beautiful sound of the water rippling down and falling down. It was really an amazing sight. And being that I was alone and no one was around, I decided to take this moment to do a meditation and to go to the temple within myself. And I remembered as I sat there this affirmation that I often use to get me centered in meditation. And it is, I am thankful that the presence of God is always with me. And I focus my attention on this affirmation and just kind of let myself settle into this moment. And at that time, in that moment, in a heartbeat, I felt this amazing connection with Spirit. And what I know is that we can experience the presence of God just by turning our attention to the presence of God. Just by sometimes just calling Spirit's name or God's name. And just turning to that presence. It's like that presence, and it's like instantly it's there. You know, enlightenment isn't about where you stand. It's about the direction you face and where you are looking. And if we want to experience more of the presence of God, all we need to do is to look in that direction, to set our intention to experience more of that presence. You know, God cannot be found in someone else's temple. Spirit, the divine, God, can only be found in our temple, in my temple for me, and in your temple for you. I am thankful that the presence of God is always with me. Say that with me. I am thankful that the presence of God is always with me. And if we want to experience it, if we want to experience this presence, we just need to turn our attention in that direction, to face that direction, to walk in that direction. So notice how you feel right now. Perhaps just this awareness, just turning your attention, just facing towards the presence of God has given you the opportunity to feel the closeness, even if it's just 1% or 2%. The whole world just got thick again with God. As I sat beside this waterfall, I remembered this line from Hafiz's poem. The whole world just got thick again with God. I love that. And I took a deep breath and I let myself lean into this affirmation, into this beautiful sentence. And I felt the gratitude of being here and being present, being alive, having the ability to be where I am, wherever that is, to be able to have that ability to go into my temple. And that temple is always with me to experience the presence of God. And then I focused really on that presence. And I let myself feel the thickness of God. And so the second thing I did was I decided to focus on this thickness in my meditation for about 30 seconds. And I just let myself into that expression, into that feeling, and savored that moment. The whole world just got thick again with God. Now, calling on that presence and leaning into it and allowing myself to really feel it, to really engage it, and to acknowledge that it's not something outside myself. The presence of God is so close. It's right here. It's within us. And I held on to this thickness for 20 or 30 seconds and just let myself experience it and absorb it. You know, this idea of Hafiz's reminds me of a scripture from Psalms, Psalm 42, verses 1 and 2. And the author wrote, "As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When can I go and meet with God?" Wow, I love that. You know, I believe that everything that we desire comes from a craving to experience more of God. I believe we love for that reason. I believe that we tap into our creative essence for that reason, because it helps us to recognize and be part of this creative energy of Spirit, of God. And we eat even to nourish our bodies and our souls so that we can experience more of the presence, more of God's presence. So how can we experience this? How can you experience the thickness of God? So I'm going to take you through a practice and through a meditation in which I'll lead you through the steps that I went through so that you can experience it yourself. So I invite you to close your eyes. Just take a deep breath. Breathing into this moment and relaxing and letting go of any thoughts or feelings or expectations. And just let yourself be present. And remember that enlightenment is not about where you stand. It's about where you are headed and where you are looking. So let's look within. Imagine that you're taking that journey to your own temple, because that's where the presence of God is for you, in your temple. I am thankful that the presence of God is always with me. Say that out loud or think it with me. I am thankful that the presence of God is always with me. I am thankful that the presence of God is always with me. And breathe into that presence. Allow that presence to embrace you. Allow yourself to feel and connect with the essence and the spirit and the truth of this God presence that is the essence of who you are. And the second thing that we can do to experience even more of the thickness of God is to allow ourselves to feel it even deeper. And remember the line from Hafiz's poem, "The whole world just got thick again with God." And say that with me, affirm it with me. The whole world just got thick again with God. And breathe that in. Feel it. Allow it to move through your body. Imagine that it becomes you. And the next thing that we can do to even go deeper, to experience more this thickness more fully, to embrace it even deeper. Imagine you can turn the flame up, turn the heat up on this feeling. So much so that it's emanating around your heart, around all of your organs, in your mind, filling your body. Every cell, every tissue, every space is filled with the thickness of God. Again and again. And in a moment, we'll join together for about 20 seconds or so in the silence. And I invite you just to focus on this connection with Spirit, on this thickness of God. And just to let it be who you are, alive in you. Breathing in, breathing out. As you continue to breathe, let's rest together for a short time in the silence. Breathing in, breathing out, relaxing, leaning into the thickness of God. The whole world just got thick again with God. As you continue to breathe, gently allow your awareness to return to this moment. And with the breath, gently opening your eyes. Namaste. Many centuries ago in Japan, an ex-warlord and his best friend were riding their horses down a dusty road when a light rain came, and the light rain quickly passed. Then they saw a beautiful rainbow appear in the sky, and it eventually came to rest on one side of the road. It was right beside the road. It landed right where a monk was sitting below a blossoming plum tree. The two pulled their horses to a halt in order to ask the monk some questions about the local area. When they noticed that there were tears streaming down his face, and he was smiling, the ex-warlord asked, "Why do you cry, friend?" "Because you can finally see me," answered the monk. "And now you can see yourself." The whole world just got thick again with God. I am divine. Do you know it? The whole universe just got enthralled out of its mind on the beauty of God. Do you see it? As you practice this, you will gradually be weaving a profound connection with the presence of God that is available to you. As you embrace more and more of the thickness of God, You will become more peaceful, more happy, more loved, and more loving. You will remember that you are divine. You will become enthralled again with the beauty of God. The whole world just got thick again with God. And so it is. Namaste. So I invite you now to prepare your tithes and your love offerings and your contributions to Unity Church of Maui. And as you prepare your gifts, to consider the value that this ministry brings to you in your life and your spiritual journey. And I thank you in advance for your gifts. And it is through your gifts that we are able to continue doing the work that we're doing. So thank you in advance. And so if you're holding your gift in your hands or holding the thought in your mind of what you'd like to give, let's pray and affirm our affirmation and prayer of prosperity together, which begins through a grateful, giving heart. My mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. And you can send your gifts to Unity Church of Maui, located at 483 South High Street in Wailuku. And you can also go to our website, which is www.unityonmaui.org, and donate there by clicking on our Safe Donate button. And the only announcement that I really have today is to just remind you that our capital campaign for a new van continues. We have a goal of $10,000, and so far we have reached $2,125. So thank you for everyone who has given to our van, and all of you who are going to help support us getting a new van. It'll be very valuable and necessary when we start, when we get back to our High Street building and want to shuttle people back and forth from the county building on Sunday morning. So thank you in advance. And you can find more of our Unity Church of Maui videos on YouTube. And if you would like to meet with us live on Sunday morning, we do that on Zoom, and those links are in the newsletter. So we look forward to seeing you. And I think that's all we have for today. So why don't we close in our traditional way by almost said playing together. It is kind of it is playing indeed when we pray. And so by saying and praying together the prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. God bless you, friend. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you, and I behold the Christ in you. And I look forward to seeing you soon in person. Aloha and mahalo.
Where I live, there are rain.